everything about social media algorithms. I definitely am not a tech whiz when it comes to coding. But if there's one thing I do know, it's how to help businesses scale to 7 figures and beyond. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. I've spent the last 25 years plus and have helped business women and men scale from 7 to 8 figures. If you're in the medical or healthcare industry, or you have a service-based business, you're a coach or consultant, or you have an e-commerce brand and you're looking to scale to 7 or multiple 7 figures per year in this year, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to be pulling back the curtains on everything I've learned from scaling thousands of small businesses to almost every industry possible. With that being said, let's get started. So I want to talk about how do you build that foundational business, right? So I've been in this industry for a very long time. And what I do know is we have an expectation that business is just going to skyrocket. But the reality is the business is like a roller coaster. So I want to look at how do you manage that roller coaster. We're going to look at the tools that we need to grow to $5 to $10 million. I want to assess where you are and then where you want to go and what areas that we need to improve upon. What I love about this is you get to tell me where you're at. I'm not telling you where you're at. We're going to look at financial forecasting for long-term growth. We have to be the captain of our own ships. We have to manage our money. I always say math is money, money is fun. So I've created some tools that will help you embrace the financial reality. One of those tools is my cash calculator. I love this tool. It gives me insights in looking at how many qualified leads do we need to close the sales we need to. That gives us the foundation for our financial planning, our unique marketing, leveraging our sales, and looking at areas to improve upon. It all starts with our financial foundation. Then we go into leadership, like who am I being as a leader? And do I have what it takes to grow to 8 or 9 figures, right? We want to look at your operational roadmap. What's missing so that you can sleep at night? System to increase your profitability, team accountability, and how do we work smarter, not harder? And I know that's a big lift to be going through in this training, but I want to scratch the surface and look at how do you take that business to the next level? Do you realize there's 30 million businesses in the US? 30 million. And 80% of these businesses fail in the first 5 years. 40% of these businesses are owned by us as women. The sad part is 1 in 12 close every year. And it's not because they're not hardworking, it's they don't know what they don't know. 20% of the businesses that stay in business don't pay themselves a salary that they deserve. We've all been there. And 88% of all small businesses are doing less than $100,000 a year. We can go get jobs and make more than that. 5% of businesses are doing $100,000 to $250,000. I want you to notice, am I the 5%, the 2.4%, or the 1.7%, right? 1.7% of small businesses are hitting that $1 million mark. It doesn't have to be hard. It does have to be strategic. So let's look at what do we need to do to advance your strategies. So one, I want you to currently assess, where is my business, right? So I'm going to give you a comprehensive business assessment to understand where you are and where you need to be, right? We want to use a tailored questionnaire to identify the gaps of where you're at. And we do this so that I can look at what areas are weak in your business. What areas do we need improve upon so that you're not repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. So Kathy K, we worked with her. We increased her revenue over 800% in the first year. 800%. How many of you would love to increase 800%? We generated over 2.1 million. Her social media grew 1,400% because we improved systems, because we worked on her team, because we looked at management, and then we taught her how to sell. We put the financial projections in because, again, that's the foundation. We increased profits by 800%. So we went from closing 5 deals a year to 156 deals a year. So she was a publisher. She published 250 books a year and created over 480 best-selling authors. By focusing on our qualified leads, that's what the cash calculator does, versus just leads. And then 80% of the business was generated from social media. So there's some big wins when you follow systems. Systems give us that freedom. So let's assess, where are you, right? Because we have to know where we are to where we're going. Just like when we look at, I'm traveling and I want to go from Oregon to San Diego or San Diego to New York, we have to have, where am I right now? Like, you're the dot at the mall. This is where I am. So you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means you suck, 10 means you're amazing, right? And not suck like bad, just like, I don't even know that I'm supposed to be doing that, Susie, right? Because as we grow, $1 million business is different than a $2 million business, and a $2 million business is different than a $5 million business. So it's important for us every year to assess, what does my business need right now? So the first thing I want to ask you is, I understand my qualified client, my ideal qualified client. So that means, where do they shop? What do they listen to? How do they buy? What's their threshold? What's their income? What's their lifestyle? Are they highly educated? Are they entrepreneurial? Do they value linear education or entrepreneurial education? Do you understand how much money they make? How much free cash flow they have? Do I understand if they're married, if they're single, if they're looking? So understanding your ideal client is more than just their age and their number, right? Do you truly understand at this stage of your business? Every stage of my business is different, right? So my business 5 years ago, that ideal qualified client is different than today. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You know what, Susie? I thought I knew, but now I'm going to say it's a 5. I need to dial that in a little tighter so I can make sure that we're hitting that ideal qualified client in this season of my business. Number 2, you have a strong sales strategy online and offline. So we call that the back of the head money. What is that sales strategy? Do you get random bookings? Do you get random sales? Or do you have a sales script, tracking? You know how to get appointments on your books? Whatever your business model is, do you have a strong sales strategy? Do you have a script that you use? I use a script. I've been using the same script for 30 years. I've used it as a hairdresser. I've used it as a trainer and consultant. I've used it in real estate. I've used it in the financial world, and the script works. So it's important that you look at, do you have something that you're following consistent so sales aren't relying on us having a good day or a bad day? And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 means you're awesome, 1 means not so much, 5 means you're right in the middle, and any one of those. Number 3, I have an automated follow-up sequence and engagement that encourages upsell and cross-selling. So is everything manual? Are you tracking everything? Or do you allow technology to keep that client engaged? Because very rarely, less than 25% of our clients are one and done, meaning I have one conversation and I close them. Sometimes my contact to contract can be a year, depending on how big that contract is. And with my corporate clients, it could be 1 to 5 years, depending on their budget, depending on the economy, depending on what's happening. So do you know from contact to contract, and do you have a follow-up sequence in place to keep nurturing that client until we get them to a yes? And I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means not so good, Susie. 5 means I'm in the middle. 10 means I'm amazing. Number 4, I have a strong and effective lead magnet and list building that converts. In my early days, I would just create lead magnets and not really assess them. Are you assessing them? Are you seeing what you need to do to build that list that converts, right? Is it effective when you're on podcasts, when you're doing events, when you're talking to a client that allows them to convert, and we're getting our qualified leads, not just leads? Less is more. I would rather spend more per lead than have a bunch of unqualified people clogging up my database, because every email costs us money. And so rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 5, I have a clearly defined product suite. Your revenue wheel, like what am I selling first, second, and third? Now, if you've been in my community for a long time, you know that I always focus on the highest income producing activity first, which completely breaks the mold for marketers. Marketers want a low-hanging fruit. But the reality is, entrepreneurs, I need to sell what's going to make me money so I can pay for my team, I can pay for my ads, I can pay for all those things that I need to pay. And so rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. I have a clearly defined product suite that walks my clients through step 1, step 2, step 3. And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 6, I have a clearly defined SOPs, standard operating procedures, that I update ongoingly, and that I've included that I have a back-end system in place that allows me to track that. Now listen, number 6 was why I was able to sell my business for high 7-figure, 8 figures when I sold my business, because everything was written down. Everything had a standard operating procedure. Was it perfect? No. But when the buyer comes knocking, you can't get ready. You have to be ready. So I want you to look at, if this has been a missing link for you, this is going to set you up to sell your business. This is going to set you up to be acquired. This is going to set you up to allow you to step away from your business and have a life, right? So when I look at your back-end systems, your CRM, your PR tools, your SEO, your KPIs, do you have that in place? This is the foundation of a business. If you don't have this in place, then we own a job. We own a job and not a business. And my goal is, let me help you own a business that you can build it to sell. You don't have to sell it, but we want to build it to sell. Number 7, you have a strong marketing plan, right? It's not one thing, it's all the things. There's over 10 different ways that we market our business every single month. Well, how many opportunities do you have to market your business? And are we marketing to that qualified client? And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 8 is my sweet spot. I understand my pricing model, and charge what I'm worth. Again, if you look at 88% of small businesses are only doing $100,000, and I believe this is the foundation of the challenge, which is your pricing. You pulled your pricing out of your genius zone. You're afraid to raise your prices to what they need to be because you're afraid you're going to lose business. Well, you're either going to lose business or lose money. Choose. You're either going out of business slowly, right? Like the slow drip, like a slow bleed. And the reality is we need to adjust that immediately and charge what you're worth. I want you to charge for your expertise, not your time. And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Everybody needs to raise their prices that I have worked with. Very rarely do I come across a business that doesn't need to. And number 9, I'm working on my leadership and invest in my education to grow in business and personally. I always have a coach in my life, whether that's a personal development coach, a business coach, I'm in a leadership education, I'm in business education, something to help build that muscle called next step in my business. And you have to find someone that 10 steps ahead of you. You don't want to be perfect. You don't want to be doing it right. You want to have people around you that are looking for the holes in your business, not looking for perfection in your business. And so rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, I haven't found the right business leader to coach me. I haven't found the right person to coach me. I'm playing small. I'm afraid to invest that money, whatever that is. I know the more I learn, the more I earn. And then if I look at number 10, your financial growth. You have a clear financial strategy that we're looking at every month, every quarter, every 6 months, right? And every year to evaluate your growth. We're looking at how many units we're selling. We're looking at the gross dollars, and we're checking that ongoingly and adjusting your plan based on what you're up to. And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. The finances is the foundation of your business. So when I look at, if you had a perfect score, which please know that in the history of doing this, no one's ever got a perfect score. If they have a perfect score, they're probably lying to themselves. I know in my business, I'm always tweaking something, right? My marketing, I might be a 5 right now, right? My closing might be a 7 right now, right? When I look at what system do we need to fix first, I always fix the money systems first. Because again, the money and the financial tell me what action do I need to do and what action does my team need to do. So depending on where you're at, will tell me what do we need to focus on. And we want to focus on one system at a time so that we're constantly tweaking. I don't want you to spend dollar time on penny jobs. So for instance, I'm not building funnels. I'm not putting my marketing strategy together. I'm giving my input, and I have a marketing team that's managing all that. I'm not doing my social media. I have a team that's doing that, and they're giving me reports, and I'm making decisions based on those reports. So again, I want you to get a coach, and a coach will tell you what you don't want to hear. A coach will show you what you don't want to see so that you could be the person you knew that you could be, right? So if you need a coach and you need a conversation, reach out to me. Let's have the conversation of, if you, any 50 and below, we need to get some serious help inside your business, right? If you look at 50% when we were in school, that's still an F. Right? So 80% would be a B, 70% would be a C, right? So you want to look at, where am I in my business and realize we're always tweaking this. So now that we looked at what do I need to focus on, let's look at how we've helped other people. So Esther Graham is one of my clients. I love, love, love her. She's an international best-selling author, became an international best-selling author when I coached her in her business. She was a 7-figure business owner of early childhood development. We purchased another early childhood development center. We grew her speaking platform, her coaching platform. We sold out our first event. We did a 6-figure sales event in our very first event. Look, it took me years to figure out how to do a 6-figure event. And when you're working with someone that knows the strategy, it gives us freedom and peace to build that business. Her company grew 65% while working together. You want some of those results? So how do we do that? We start with the financial infusion. Financial infusion, financial forecasting to see, do I have the money to grow my business or do I not have the money to grow my business, right? So when I look at money, money is an internal conversation. Money is a masculine conversation. Money belief systems come from our gender, male, female. It comes from our family. It comes from our culture. It comes from our community. If you're heavily involved in church, it comes from our churches. So where did your beliefs come from and what are some of the limiting beliefs around money? Because until you recognize that, we won't have a breakthrough in that. I'll give you an example. One of my limiting beliefs is I can make as much money as I want. I have to work hard. I don't want to work that hard anymore. I don't want to have to kill myself to build a multi-million-dollar business. I want peace. I want balance. I want time for my family. I want time to do other things. I want energy at the end of the day. I used to say to my husband, I've used all my words today because I was giving so much to the business. I didn't have any for my team. I didn't have any for my husband. I didn't have any for my children. So you start looking at your belief systems. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. Whatever they are, and then let's recreate what your money beliefs are. So I create a financial vision, and I'm going to encourage you to do this for yourself. Because once you find out what does money mean to me, money is just paper. But my financial vision is my contribution to humanity is deep. My investment in my future profound. I believe anything is possible with a plan and a strategy. I am a gift from God, and He has given me the ability to help others see the financial abundance all around them. I give freedom where restriction only lived before. I give hope where there was only despair. I am the solution to the problems that every small business owner faces every day. I love making a difference and creating profitable businesses. Wealth is a measurement of my contribution to humanity. Wealth gives me personal freedom. Personal freedom gives me peace of mind. Peace of mind makes me happy, and it gives me purpose and validates that I can do it. So you can see it doesn't have anything to do with paper. It has everything to do with my beliefs around money. So I want you to stop this training. I want you to put down some homework. What is your financial vision and what does it mean for you? So when we look at businesses with financial forecasting grow 30% faster than businesses that don't. It helps predict revenue, control expenses, and allocate resources efficiently. It reduces the financial risk by identifying cash flow gaps. When am I going to be slow? When am I going to be busy? How do I need to leverage my finances so that I'm understanding when it's going to dip and when it's going to be high? If I look at, for an example, Amazon forecasts demand to optimize inventory and to prevent stockouts, right? Prevent not having enough product. So I want us to look at what does my financial forecasting look like so you're not freaking out, right? When I look at key financial indicators, the revenue growth rate, these are our sales increasing over time. I had a client that just did $1 million year over year over year. Now, I say that if you keep doing the same thing, then you've been really in business for 1 year, repeating it 10 times. She'd been in business for 10 years. So we're not actually increasing sales. We're just kind of staying consistent, which is great, but are you building that legacy business? We want to look at net profits versus gross profit. Net profit is at the end of the day, net, what is left over. And I want to make sure that we're not looking at profit because you're not paying yourself. That's not real profit. I want you to pay yourself a proper paycheck and have profit left over. We need to look at your cash flow so that we can predict inflows and outflows and avoid those shortages, right? Your burn rate. This is essential when we're looking at launching something new. How are you spending? Are you spending efficiently? Are you always in this hamster wheel of fighting for more cash? It doesn't have to be that way, and it is a discipline. So let's look at what areas here in your financial metrics do you need to focus on. When I'm looking at building your financial forecast, we want to look at your historical data. What have you done in the past? What has the industry done in the past? What's that expectation? We want to do some scenario planning. What's the best case, worst case, so that we're not sideswiped by changes in economy. We're not sideswiped by if the industry is slow or the industry is fast. Rolling forecasts or trailing 12-month forecasts are all about looking at a cyclical versus month over month. Month over month is important for cash flow, but it can also burn you out. It can also have you feeling like a loser in your business. I know for me, when I started looking at the trailing 12 months or the rolling forecast, it allowed me to be more objective inside my business. We want to use AI and data analytics to leverage tech and improve your accuracy. It's amazing what you can do when you're using AI just to say, what information are you pulling from this? If I look at Netflix, they use AI forecasting for content investment decisions. Are you putting out enough content for your clients? Content is that silent seller that allows us to sell at 10 o'clock at night, at 11 o'clock at night, at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, whatever time they get up to start looking for your content. It's imperative for the success of your business. And so when I look at long-term financial strategy, I want you to look at, are my revenue streams diversified to reduce redundancy on one source? Now, if I look at my book, right, Power Your Profits. So my book, Power Your Profits, is one revenue source. Then I have a companion course that goes with this. It's the same content, more access to me, more intimacy with me, the higher price point. Then we have a mastermind, more access to me, intimacy, higher price point. Then we have one-on-one coaching, same content, the content is just delivered differently. So I want you to look at your revenue streams and see, am I diversified? Do I have a plan versus just focusing on one source? It's important that we secure long-term investments for scaling our financial model. There's an old saying in banking, when you need money, you can't get money. So we need to look at where's the money going to come from for the cash infusion to grow, because we will always need to put more money in at different times in our business. When it rains, you stockpile. When it's dry, you have your stockpile. So it's important to look at your financial stability and keeping track of costs, checking on the quality with, making sure that you're managing a tight budget, making sure that you're just not shopping with your business account. I know I have done that in the past, where my freedom, because I was working so hard, came from buying more marketing, right? Hiring more people. It sounds silly, but again, when you're at that place where all you're doing is working, you've got to find some kind of stability. So Apple maintains financial stability by balancing hardware, software, and subscription revenues, right? We want to build an emergency fund. I know we've all talked about this. Every expert does. Building an emergency fund to handle unexpected downturns. And that takes discipline, right? There's an account that I just don't touch. And if I do touch it, I make sure that I'm putting that revenue back in there by the end of the year. So when I look at what do you need to focus on? So Dr. Sandra, her biggest challenge was we needed to optimize profitability and align her pricing value. So there was never enough money. And when I looked at her pricing wasn't strategically reflecting the value that she was giving. She was over delivering to prove her value, which was a mindset issue versus a pricing issue. We focused on financial planning and profit margin enhancement. The result, we increased her revenue, we gave her stronger profit margins, and we achieved a healthier circle highlight work-life balance supporting sustainable growth. So what's your challenge in your business? What are some things that we can do based on this conversation that will allow us to grow our business? So I want to talk about qualified leads versus leads. A lot of times I'll meet with a client, they'll go, I only need 10 of these to get that lead in or to get that sell in, right? So if I need 10 clients at $10,000, that gives me $100,000 in this line item. Well, if I need 10 clients, then I'm going to have anywhere between 100 and 200 leads depending on your closing ratio. It's important to look at, are you closing? Because sometimes it's a qualified lead issue? You might have leads, you might have appointments, but they're not qualified, they can't spend money, right? Or is it your sales ability? We have to really dial in to see which one of these areas needs to be improved upon. So the cash calculator, which we'll give you access to, allows us to see year over year. So what is your gross revenue that you want for this line item? And I give you 5 different revenue streams. And then what is that fee for that high ticket price or that service or that product? And then how many sales are needed? So all you're going to put in is you're going to put in step 1 and step 2, and it will auto calculate the number of leads you need per week, per month, per year. So this allows us to talk to our marketing team to say, hey, I need 1,000 qualified leads to hit my revenue of $1 million or 10 million, whatever the number is. So this has been a game changer for our clients to break it down for our marketing team so that we're managing some of the right indicators, right? It's important. So with Dr. Lana, we incorporated this. She went into one of our masterminds and she raised her fees 10x. 10x. Imagine raising your fees 10 times. She learned what our highest income producing activity was and only focused on that to get that momentum going. Module 4 in our mastermind is math is money, money is fun. Right? And she said that was the price of admission. She didn't want to join a group, but immediately felt validated by the worth. You can't do this alone. You need community. She hired an online business manager and started working smarter, not harder. We partnered with Harvard University and myself and finally gave her the confidence to charge what she was worth. So when I look at your revenue wheel, so this is my revenue wheel, but I want you to create your own revenue wheel, right? I want you to look at what action do I need to take? So when you get clear, so we do executive coaching, we have affiliates, we have products, we have teleseminars or webinars, right? We have group programs, training programs, speaking and keynotes. Those are small fees, but high exposure. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to look at your revenue wheel and let's get really clear. What do we need to build out this year that's different from last year? And where are we leaving money on the table? Now, I don't want us to get caught up in the sparkle, squirrel, shiny object syndrome. I want us to look at what's going to bring us the biggest bang for the buck. Less is more. Write that down. Less is more. I want to focus on how do you create that. Now, from our revenue wheel, we'll go into our cash projections. This gives us the foundation of everything we're doing. Our financial projections gives us a freedom. So Lisa Nichols, some of you know her, some of you don't. She's one of the secret teachers of The Secret. I started working with her in 2002, worked with her for till 2018, and we built a multi-million-dollar brand. She was doing $80,000 a year when I met her, right? So we created a $10 million business, right? She signed a 7-figure deal, which is $1 million book deal. Her first book, her second book was $750,000, which they don't even give those kind of retainers out anymore. She was on Oprah, Larry King, Today Show. We took that company public and raised $2.5 million. We systematized her back end, and we built an online money machine. Online money machine. Her closing went from 4% to 67% by teaching her the script and the foundation. Again, it doesn't have to be hard. It has to be strategic. So in this course, I'm giving you my financial roadmap and blueprint. And what I've learned over the years is clients can either focus on units. I can say, hey, sell 10 of these, sell 20 of these. Let's sign up 200 people for these versus focusing on the gross dollars. So if you look at this client, Dr. V, right, for the month of January, our goal was $579,000. You can see this on the bottom here, $579,000 in January. So her speaking fee is $25,000. We put up here 1 speaking event. Speaking for free, we put 5. Why would we speak for free 5 times? Because it's going to put me in front of people who are my qualified client. Because I'm selling these events, right? So she's doing a big money summit. She wanted 75 people in that event, and that event was $597, right? That gives people time to build that relationship, build that trust. So these are all editable. So you'll put whatever you're doing here. It will automatically come down here and you'll put your pricing here. So based on our pricing and our conversion, you can see January, we had almost a $600,000 month, and February, we had an $80,000 month because now we're building that momentum. February funnels into March, and in March, we have an $875,000 month. So, see, anything's possible when we're clear about our strategy. We have to be strategic, not just set goals. Goals are important, but I need to break them down and reverse engineer them and figure out how are we going to hit that $5 million or $10 million goal. Now, once we have that goal in place, we need to look at our operational roadmap, because operations is the foundation of your business. Let me say that again. Operations is the foundation of your business. Yes, we have to sell. Yes, you have to be amazing as the technician in your business, but without operations, everything falls through the cracks. Without operations, you have big holes in your business. Without operations, you have breakdowns, and too many breakdowns, and not the breakdowns that cause a breakthrough. So I want you to look at what are the systems we need to put in place to allow you to have that freedom. So Norma Hollis had been in the industry for 30 years, and she was finally charging what she was worth from a system. 1 month in working with me, she sold $82,000. In her 2020, her whole year was only $32,000. And she said, when you have a system to charge, you no longer manage from your feelings. So you see, systems give us freedom. Systems allow us to look at your business objectively versus my emotions in my business. The foundation of scalable growth is businesses that are fast scaling. Invest in structured operations. There's no way around it. A lot of times we look at operations like, oh, that's not where I need to spend my money, but it's always been the first person I've hired, because growth isn't just about revenue, it's about efficiency. I had a client that I worked with that we created more sales, we created more growth. I was spending all this time building the foundations in the back end. And when the budget got tight, do you know who she got rid of? Me. And I'm like, you're making a mistake, because we're building the infrastructure to build a multi-million-dollar business, not just an infrastructure for you to have a busier job. So businesses that scale successfully have clear processes. They're using automation and accountability. McDonald's scaled globally with standardized processes and automation. They created the very first McDonald's as if they were going to franchise even before they had any idea they were going to franchise. Everything was documented. How many pickles were on a burger? How many squeezes of ketchup, right? How many squeezes of mustard, right? How do you wrap it? How many minutes the fries need to go down? So all that detail allows a business to create duplicatable results. Now, I really noticed this at Starbucks. I love Starbucks, right? That was my guilty pleasure until I realized how much I was spending on Starbucks. But I could go anywhere in the world and the coffee would taste the same. I remember being in Italy one time, and their coffee is amazing, but you know how you just crave your drink? Mine was a double tall latte with oat milk and had toffee nut in it, right? And so I saw this person in Bath walking around with a Starbucks cup, and I'm like, oh my God, where did you get that? And they told me where I got it. I walked in, and it was just like being home, right? And when you're out of the country traveling, you're like, oh, I just want a little piece of home. And so I want you to look at, how do you create that system so that you're leveraging what you're doing, you're working smart, you're not working hard. And that's going to come from our operations. It's using automation and technology. Don't be afraid of it. I use it every single day. I use AI every single day, right? Operationally, about who are my next leaders in my business and how do I train them? You'll put 10 units of energy in to get 1 unit of result. Once you get that momentum going, you'll put 1 unit of energy in to get 10 units of result. And so we need to get that momentum. And as a leader, I need to look at who are my next leaders inside of me, my business, right? We use an assessment. We assess every team member. So we know what areas to be improved upon, what kind of education they need, right? We want to optimize our chain and logistics, supply chain and logistics, right? We want to optimize fulfillment. We want to support higher demand. What do we need to get ready for so that we're not scrambling and we're not putting out fires? When I look at our operations, I want to look at your customer experience. How do we maintain the quality and that personal experience as you scale and retain clients, right? Amazon scaled efficiently by investing in logistics and automation of how do we make this more efficient for our customers. And so when I'm looking at your business and we're looking at what do we need to do, there's 3 powerful things. 1, document the process for efficiency. That's creating your SOPs. In the beginning, my SOPs were just checklists, and I would have my team members sign off on it. I would sign off on it just so that I know I trained them, because people will always come back to you and go, I never learned that. And that is the most frustrating thing as a business owner, because you trained them on it. But if it's not documented, if it's not written down, there's no way to manage it, right? Performance tracking, using KPIs to measure our success. The KPIs don't lie. That's why I love math doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. So if our engagement is low in social media, our KPI will tell me that. If our views are low, our KPI will tell me that. Then it'll tell me what do I need to do to improve upon that in the domain of social media, right? If my KPIs and my sales, if I'm having 10 meetings and closing one sale and I expect 5 sales, 3 sales, whatever that is, that number will look at what happened, right? Were they just having off days, or are my leads not qualified? We want to look at the workflow automation. How do you reduce manual tasks? How do you create automation inside your business, which you're doing it unconsciously? I want to take your unconscious to the conscious. You don't have to fix it all right now, but to go, you know what? If Susie left, my business would die, right? If your highest salesperson left, would your business die? So it's important for us to look at that, to go, where do I need to improve upon so that it's not relying on one person, even if that's you. Making sure people are cross-trained so that nothing gets bottlenecked if that person is out. It's important to make sure that if something happens to me, if something happens to my number 2, in my business, that's Sam, she can pick up the ball and maintain business as usual until I can come back, or until we can replace that person. So if I look at Starbucks, they maintain consistency worldwide through their SOP training. The SOPs are, this is how we do it here. It's imperative. Again, I want to build a business that you can sell. Whether, again, you sell it to yourself or you sell it to somebody else. And the only way we can do that is by implementing scalable systems and SOPs. So if I look at long-term growth and account adaptability, one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur is being adaptable to whatever comes up. I got to tell you, sometimes that just threw me for a loop. So the first thing we want to look at, and as you grow, is what is our process audit? Are our systems old? Are they stale? How do I improve upon those? Those are imperative to our success. We want a scalable revenue model. Everyone talks about let's not trade time for dollars. Sometimes you have to in the beginning. And depending on, do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want a business that is a legacy business? What kind of business do you want? And do you want to be hands-on? Do you want to be hands-off? Do you want a subscription, a licensing? Do you want digital products? Let's look at the whole product suite. That goes back to our revenue wheel. How are we going to grow this? And know that if you do a subscription model, that's a separate business within the business. That is a high-touch business, even though it sounds like back of the head money. Licensing is a high-touch business, right? Digital products, low-touch, high marketing costs. So it's important to let's look at what's my long-term strategy, and only you can answer that. I can't answer that for you. I can take your business, do a questionnaire, look at your 10 steps and say, here's what I see and here's what I recommend. But I need it to come from your mind to say, Susie, here's my goal. Here's my legacy business. Here's what I want to do. And from that business, that mindset, it'll allow us to put a plan together so that you can grow. In our long-term growth and adaptability, we need to look at our customer feedback loop, right? If they're saying you're too expensive, it might just be a value proposition. What's 1 or 2 things we can add in that would change the value of that proposition? Customer feedback is gold, positive and negative. If it's allowing me to change, if it's allowing me to grow, then it's done its job in giving me that feedback. We want to hire for growth. This had been a learning process, right? Because I would hire someone to fill a position, but I wasn't necessarily looking at when would they outgrow that position. And do I have another next step for them? So I want to hire someone that's been there, done that, but not bored with that. They have the expertise that they can come into my business and drop gems, right? If you look at Netflix, they were a DVD company and they went from DVD to streaming by adapting to the trend. Imagine, because there's what was the video store that went out of business, right? There's only one left and it's in Oregon, Blockbuster, right? They did not adapt. They went out of business. Netflix adapted and said, we see this is where it's going long term. So let's look at building your 7-figure business. That's where you probably are right now, right? You are the top box. You are the owner. Now, if you have a partner, there cannot be 2 names in that box. Why? That will cause tension. That will cause friction. That will cause fighting. There has to be one buck stops here person. You can do multiple roles, but at the end of the day, there has to be one person that says yay or nay. Now, when I had a business partner, I was not the yay or nay. I was not seasoned enough. I didn't have thick enough skin to say no to people. So if a team member was in my office crying because she couldn't afford maternity clothes, I'm writing her a check or going shopping for her and buying her maternity clothes. That's not, yes, it's kind. Yes, that's team, but you can't do that ongoingly. So my partner was the buck stops here person, right? We had sales, you have marketing, operations, finance, and leadership. You need separate job descriptions for those and separate accountabilities. So if I look at my business, right, I have a marketing team, I have a sales team, I'm in operations, but I'm not managing operations. I'm managing finance and leadership. And so again, looking at how big is your business, who's managing it, and are they the right people to manage it? Right? So if you have a starter team, right, you usually start with you, an online business manager, admin support, a bookkeeper, right? This is a starter business. A 6-figure business, again, we're looking at the high 6-figure to 7-figure, but looking at where are you in this pie and how am I managing this, right? If I look at 7 figures and beyond, right, you're going to have some key people in your business, the CEO, which is you, an operations manager, full-time, part-time, doesn't matter, a CFO, someone managing strategically, tax strategy, income strategy. So again, you're not flying by the seat of your pants. And then underneath that, you're having marketing and sales, customer service, product fulfillment, operations, human resources, web service, and tech. And so again, if you're doing all these jobs, now we understand why you feel crazy. There's no physical way you can be efficient in all of these. You need other people in charge of these divisions, bringing you solutions, not bringing you headaches or bringing you concerns. So when I look at Herringstones and Debbie Harrington, her challenge and the company's challenge, they had 5 locations doing about $5 to $7 million a year. Their operational inefficiency was causing stress. They were firefighting ongoingly, right? They didn't have a solid training program. So all the leaders had to then go back and be trainers. So we implemented a structured work chart. We gave everybody clearly defined job descriptions. Debbie was a CMO. Cindy was a CSO. Hannah was the CFO and CEO of the organization. And so looking at Claire was the COO. So everyone had a really clear job before everyone was doing everything. So the result was their business ran more smoothly. The leadership was less stressed and stress was reduced. They gained time to be with their family and be on family vacations because we stepped back and said, what does this business need to grow to get it to 10 to 15 million. So it starts now, wherever you're at, to go, what do I need to do to get to that number? And then what is that plan that I need to put together? So when I look at the future of your marketing, I want you to look at how do I use AI-driven personalized content that's automated and personalized. Creating video content that allows you to educate your consumers so they can consume and build trust without you having to have 20 follow-up calls. We want to look at conversational marketing and chat box. The power of videos is your authentic brand storytelling. How do you tell your story? So inside this whole training, I'm just sharing from my client successes to my successes to our breakdowns. As part of the breakdown I'm seeing is there's no N on automation. How did we miss that? It's okay. Mistakes happen. The bigger you play, the bigger the breakdown, right? How do you protect your data privacy and ethical marketing? So all of this can be done through the trends, and this is where marketing is going. And when I look at how has AI been the changer for me, can I just tell you, AI chat box, so my team isn't having to communicate with everyone, but it has the Susie fingerprint. We have predictable and predictive analytics with personalized recommendations. It can get so sophisticated. I don't have to do this. My marketing team, that's their job, is to be 10 steps ahead of me in marketing. Here's the result I want. What do we need to do and how do we automate that? Right? AI-driven ad targeting for better ROI. There's so much more we can do. You want to leverage tools like ChatGPT, Jasper, Midjourney for marketing content and automation. Don't be afraid of it. I just go in there and play, right? And then my team are the experts in implementation on it. So when I look at video first content strategy, we know that video is king. And if you don't know that, video is king, right? You look at, we used to do a lot of networking events. We used to be out in the community more, right? Everything shifted a couple years ago, 5 years ago. And so how do we get people to know us? Is we're doing videos. 82% of online traffic comes from video content. Short-term videos like Reels and TikToks and YouTube Shorts to dominate our social media, right? We want it interactive and shoppable, whether that's driving them to a strategy call, driving them to a product, driving them to click yes. That's the goal. We want to invest in short form, high quality video content, meaning spend some time with an expert that can help you write your content. I'm a master at creating content, but I need it to be sales content and conversion content. And that helps me through AI. Don't be afraid of it. We want to look at using user-generated content. This is the biggest trend in business right now. 92% of consumers trust user-generated content. When you see a testimonial from Dr. Sandra or Kathy or Lisa, that's user-generated, right? User-generated ads, micro-influencers. How can we find them and work together? AI-powered influence marketing platforms can streamline our partnerships. So my action that I want you to do is I want you to look at what micro influencers are my niche. And where do you find them? Go to ChatGPT and you can find who are the influencers in my niche that I can create coffee with. You want to leverage UGC, which is user-generated content and campaigns. How can you get clients to talk about what you do so there's social proof? Encourage customers to share brand-related content with their own market. That's about building a community, and a community makes a difference. So when I'm looking at paid ads and performance marketing, we've got to measure the return on investment. Return on investment is one of the things that I see people throwing money at ads, but they're not measuring those ads. And so if I look at AI-driven ad campaigns, we can improve our targeting, improve our conversion rates. We can retarget and do lookalike campaigns, and it can help us identify who truly is that lookalike campaign. TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn ads outperform traditional platforms. Are we using them? It's not one thing we do, it's all the things that we do. And so by having a team that understands this and helps you leverage, we're not wasting money, we're leveraging our assets. Take a breath. I know I'm giving you a lot of content, but I want to talk about how do we work inside of our leadership and operational, your roadmap for your growth and scalability. What I've learned is everyone has leadership potential within them, but understanding these concepts will help you maximize your own leadership ability. It's by giving people projects that allow them to build their leadership muscle, build their marketing muscle, build their critical thinking. Your reputation is what other people think of you. Your character is what you truly are. Reputations can be manipulated, but character can only be developed and maintained. So Lauren Gartland came to us, and after 2 months working together, she had a 25% increase in her business, or an additional $772,000 in additional revenue. We put systems in place. We removed highly toxic team members. She snatched her power back. We closed 5 dream clients by really getting clear on who was that qualified lead that she wanted to work with, and everyone else could work with those other clients. We increased her cash flow by offering full pay options with bonuses, and we increased the closing percentage by 37%. Now, I've known Lauren for a long time. She's a phenomenal salesperson. So we started just looking at KPIs. When you have a goal and you're clear about that goal, magic happens. When you're doing the work towards the goal is achieved. It's not sprinkle fairy dust. So when I look at boosting your sales with strategic buying and upselling, let's look at how do you leverage that? Because sales is a conversation, and it's a powerful conversation about enrolling people in what's possible, that what you invent to enhance their lives. I know that when you work with me, your life will forever change. I know when you work with me, your sales will increase. I know when you work with me, your business can double or triple. I know that. I know. What do you know like you know? I need you to be bold and outrageous and tell people in your sales conversation, right? So this can occur through business or personal. The possibility is invented by you. Like I said, I know like I know. Do you want a new home? I can show you how to do that. Do you want a new car? I can show you how to do that. Do you want more freedom? I can show you how to do that. Right? The real exchange is the promise and the compensation to fulfill that promise. Somebody said to me the other day, which was really great, we were in a class, and she said, listen, I can only do so much in the budget that you've given me. You know, when people want way more than they pay for, I can only do so much in the budget that you've given me. If I look at what are the trends that we need to look at, I want you to look at AI-driven personalization. It boosts sales by 30%. So again, you don't have to be the expert. We need to find an expert. If you need an expert, please reach out to me at Susie@susiecarter.com and let me introduce you to some people that are badass in this. My team is a badass in this, and I've spent a lot of money wrong. Trust me, I'm like you, right? 82% of buyers prefer self-service options before they even talk to us. That means going into YouTube, going into your social media, consuming content. Social commerce is expected to grow $2.9 trillion. That's bananas. Video content, I've said this before, it increases our conversions by 80%. Customers trust transparency. You can tell when somebody's full of it, right? Transparency is key to closing deals in 2025. Don't overpromise. Commit, but don't overpromise, right? Use chatbots, right? Automate follow-up emails. That increases our response rate by 35%. Us leveraging this, we have a 57% open rate, a 27% click-through rate. Netflix specializes in content, boosting engagement and retention by saying, based on what you've watched, this is what we recommend. And sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. But it does, based on your viewing history, allows you to see that's what all those tags are when you're in Netflix or you're in any of the other entertainment hubs. How can you put that inside your business? Right? We need to build trust by offering value first. That's educational content. That's free trials. So how do you build that trust? Have a sales script with NLP embedded in it. It's in chapter 6 in Power Your Profit. It's my $100,000 sales script. I used to teach NLP and I realized they just need to know what to say and how to say it. So in chapter 6, don't veer from it. Follow the script. The script works. Use storytelling to connect emotional buyers. So that's what I'm doing with case studies is to go, do you feel like Esther? Do you feel like Lauren? Do you feel like Lisa? Do you feel like Kathy? Do you feel like Dr. Sandra? Who do you feel like? Who can you relate to? Can you relate to my story of building 10 multi-million-dollar companies, losing millions of dollars, having to file for bankruptcy because I just didn't know what I didn't know? So it's important that you share your story. You share that me. Now, the number one thing customers say is if they would have followed up, I would have gone into business with them. 80% of sales happen after the 5th follow-up. Customer retention is cheaper than finding new clients. How can you leverage that? How can you manage that, right? And again, I don't have to do it. I improve my accountability with my team and my team does it. That's how we drive results. Teams with high accountability are 50% more productive than teams who are not. Employees who feel accountable are 2.5 more times engaged than employees that they don't even know that you're seeing them. Lack of accountability leads to missed deadlines and low morale. I have a client that's doing $10 million in sales and there's no sales plan. There's no KPIs. It's a free-for-all. What I've learned over the years is $1 million business and a $10 million business can be the same business. You're just managing more zeros. It's got to come back down to the foundation, which is accountability. So I want you to set clear expectation and follow through with consistency. So I use something called the Harrison assessment. No more guessing how to manage people. It tells me what are your skills, what are your culture expectations, what are your life themes so that I can manage, does my business work for what you want out of your life? It shows me when you're under stress or duress, what is going to get in your way so that I can help you manage that, right? When I'm under stress or duress, I get kind of cranky, I get kind of dogmatic, I get dominating, and I can get scattered. Okay, well, that just says, bitch who's messy. So I know that about me. So I have to manage me first. And then I know what my team is so I can look at how do I support them when they're stressed and overwhelmed. So again, when you're looking at accountability, we all know about SMART goals, but are you using them, right? Don't be a generalist. Like my client that's doing 10 million, it's general, right? So we have $9 million, 9.2 million in residual income. So we really need to only create 3 million in sales, but he didn't tell me that till we dug deep inside the conversation, right? So it's important to go, well, what do we specifically want? How are we going to measure that to get that 3 million? How many contracts in that? In his business, it could be one contract. Well, how many leads do I need to close that one contract? And how long is it from contact to contract? If it's going to be 3 years, I need a lot more leads in the bucket. Does that make sense? So communicate roles and responsibility clear with the KPIs because clarity will have your team be aligned, right? So using your objectives and key results. What are those things that you're going to manage, and how do you manage it? So creating a culture of accountability starts by leading by example, not do as I say, not as I do, right? You have to implement regular check-ins, right? You have to implement feedback loops, plan and reviews. MBWA means management by walking around. How are you managing that team? Recognize and reward responsible behavior. People are motivated by 3 things: verbal acknowledgement, prizes, and money. So let's make sure that's in our culture of accountability. So use accountability tools like Trello, Monday, Toggle, so that we're managing the hours, we're managing the projects, so you're not guessing, right? We want to encourage collaboration and open communication. I want to teach my admin person to hold my marketing person accountable with no ego. It's just hitting the by wins. We're all playing a big game in the world. Let's help our team play that big game. Use our KPIs to measure our success, because KPIs don't lie. Because listen, everyone has a sexy story. I don't care about the story. I care about the result. I know that sounds harsh, but we've got to start managing our business from a place of excellence, from a place of accountability, right? 80% of the results come from 20% of our efforts. That's the Pareto principle. 92% of entrepreneurs work over 50 hours per week, but high performers prioritize effectiveness over hours. I look at what is a result I need to produce every single day, every single week, every single month. Businesses that leverage automation, I know I sound like a broken record, grow faster than businesses that do not. So what are you doing? Elon Musk uses the first principle of thinking to solve complex problems. And that's break down the problem, identify core components of the issue, and strip away assumptions, right? Question the status quo and avoid basing decisions on the way things have always been. Rebuild from the ground up. Use verified tools and facts to construct a new, more efficient solution. So I want to say that this has been delicious and juicy, and I hope that you've gotten a ton of content out of this. This is my full course on how to build and systematize a 7 to 8 figure business in 2025. As a fractional COO, I help clients with guidance and support without the financial burden of a full-time COO, which allows my clients to delegate the big stuff to us, leaving them to focus on the tasks that actually make you richer. So you're no longer stuck in a business working 12 hours a day. I helped Dr. Judy of Vitality Healthcare grow her business from 1.5 to 2.8 in 2 years. I helped Lisa Nickel build a multi-million-dollar brand. Kathy Kidd grew her revenue from $60,000 to $1.4 million. And these are just some of the amazing women who have helped grow their businesses. So if you're an established businesswoman looking to scale to $5 to $10 million and you want a step-by-step support, templates, strategy that produce results like I've discussed in this video, then let's book a free business assessment, because I need to see if you're right for me and I'm right for you, right? So the first link in the description, I want to see if you're qualified. What does it mean to be qualified? You're coachable. You're willing to share. You're willing to be vulnerable. But more importantly, you're willing to take radical action. So if you love this, like and subscribe. Share it with a friend. Post it on your social media. Somebody needs this content as much as you needed to hear it, because you stayed and you listened. I'm your sister in the journey. I'm Dr. Susie Carter. Remember, you're in business for yourself, not by yourself.